Hey, when you guys are thinking about your collage paper, you want to think about the paper as a pattern and texture, not so much as a text. So if you're reading the newspaper, you might not use your words going across. It's not really meant to be read. It's meant to be as a texture or a pattern. So as far as working with your final collage, you want to think about how all of those papers are coming together in your video. So if you're looking at the text that I have here, I've decided that all my letters are actually, my words are going across this way. You can see I even broke it up with another piece of collage paper, and even though the music notes are here, they're actually upside down, just because that actually creates another letter or texture idea in your final piece. So I'm going to begin to collage this negative space here. And because all of my previous newspaper is having the letters going this way, I just want to make sure that I'm doing the same. I can turn it and I can tilt it, but as long as I am keeping up with the idea of unity and having everything going the same, I want to make sure that I'm doing that here. So for this area, I'm going to have it completely up and down. And what I would like for you to do is kind of cut your newspaper a little bit smaller. That way you can see where it's going to fit inside your areas. And what I would do then is even get a ruler, because we need to make sure that we're cutting off our cubism areas. So you guys can see here that I've got one of my sections. So I'm going to go ahead and put my line here because I know that that section goes right through. Go hold this paper down. And then I also know that my section comes right through this way. This is just helping me narrow down the paper size so it fits in there perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that. You don't want any pencil lines showing, so I'm going to cut those off, but then also make sure I'm cutting extremely straight and on that line. Now you're noticing that that actually fits perfectly right in that section. I'm trying to collage this negative space. So what I need to do is cut out this one part. So I actually lay it here, but I lift it up. This is a little tricky. Just kind of lift it up and draw a little bit of it at a time. It's a little bit better if you cut it bigger than what you think you might need. You can see here how I just keep kind of lifting it up to follow along the line of the black section I've already drew. So now I can go ahead and cut that out. And now that actually fits perfectly here as well. If something happens and you have it too short, you have two options. You can just recut your piece, or you can touch up the final media inside the extra area. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. This one again is going to be a little tricky because I'm trying to go around those teacups to create this really cool negative shape. Just holding it down as I'm drawing so that I can get it more exact. And then I can come and cut that piece out. And once I cut that, I can show you how to glue. I think depending on the intricacy of your collage paper, you might want to adjust the drawing here instead of trying to recut it. So I got this pretty close. You can see here how this area doesn't quite match up. I kind of went down a little further. So what I would do after I get it glued and after the glue's dry, I can actually just kind of come back and maybe touch up the handle here on the teacup. What I definitely don't want to do is try to piece it. Okay, that does not look like a good solution to the problem. If I'm going to piece it, I might as well piece the whole thing to create a different look, which is also might be kind of a cool option. So you can see here how the texture of this piece is actually matching the other areas that I have chosen to do. Once you're ready, you can glue. And what I would do is just get a piece of scrap paper. There's a couple options in gluing, but either one, you need to make sure that your glue goes over the entire piece. That's why you have a piece of plain paper underneath. Do not use a piece of newspaper. Once your newspaper gets wet, it's going to get all over the place. So your paper needs to be some sort of a clean white paper or copy paper. So for the glue, just kind of put your glue all over. Okay. If you're using Elmer's, take your Elmer's and you can put a little bit goes a long way. But if you do that, you need to take your finger and make sure that it goes to the entire piece of your newspaper. That's why you have paper underneath. Make sure your fingers are as clean as possible. And then when you put your work down, make sure your fingers are clean. We don't want any glue marks anywhere. And we want to make sure that we glue it nice and flat. And you can see here the reason why this is bubbling is because I didn't get any glue there. So that's a problem. So you have to make sure that you get glue over the whole thing. And now you're laying it nice and flat. If you have any pencil lines, if you have to adjust anything, you need to wait until this is completely dry to the next day, and then you can come back and touch this up with drawing more and even erasing pencil lines.